Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Amanda Gizzi, and I'm the Director of PR and Events for Jewelers of America. And I'm joined today by Ashley Davis, Senior Editor Fashion for National Jeweler. We are pleased to welcome everyone here today for the latest episode of My Next Question, a webinar series that is a co-branded webinar series with National Jeweler and Jewelers of America. Before we get the webinar started, I wanted to let our attendees know that if you have any questions, please type it into the question field of the webinar, and Ashley will get to those at the conclusion of our presentation here today, and we'll get to as many of those questions as we possibly can. Also, today's session is being recorded and will be available on the National Jeweler and Jewelers of America's websites in the coming days. Now, we're excited to dive into today's discussion. Lessons from gems. So thank you, Ashley.
I'm so excited to be here. And I'm so glad that we're doing this webinar because the Gem Awards happen each year only for one night, but they're such a big deal. And it's nice to spend a little extra time kind of giving the awards some attention.
Thank you. Well, as everyone knows, and this is our baby. So this is an event that we've put together 12, literally, we'll start planning the next one on Saturday when Friday's event is over. So Gem Awards takes place on Friday, March 17th at Cipriani. And what's really nice about Gem Awards is it's really a reunion night. It's a night where so much of the industry can come together in true celebration and really just celebrate the individuals and the brands that raise consumer awareness. At the end of the day, Gem Awards was created to further our mission at Jewelers of America, which is to improve consumer confidence. So it's celebrating the companies who elevate and push the industry forward, but also get consumers really excited about the products that we sell.
Yeah. And when was the Gem Awards founded, by the way?
That's a great question. So this is our 21st annual Gem Awards. So 2004 was the first Gem Awards. We're heading into, our 21st event. Last year with the 20th anniversary is going to be a hard one to follow, but this year we have a sold out crowd. So it's the first time in a long time that we've had a full sold out packed room. So it just shows that everybody's really excited to come together. It's a special evening. People are dressed to impress. It's black tie. It's a very highly produced event that really just are, again, to celebrate those honorees and the nominees. And I think that's really what's special, Ashley, and you've been many years to Gem Awards. The excitement in the room that you feel is because you truly are excited for all of the nominees in the categories. And not everyone can take home a Gem Award, but at least, we can celebrate them in the way that they deserve to be celebrated.
Yeah, it's a beautiful event. And I think that the glamour rubs off a little bit on everybody. Even if you're not nominated, I think it really is a great energy, like you said. And I know that each year the program is a little bit different. There will be some special awards, but there are a few main categories that tend to stay from year to year. And this year it's the jewelry design category, the retail excellence category, and the media excellence category. Can you explain a little bit about the nomination process and how the judging works?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that is one of the top questions that we get. We get flooded every year with people wanting to be nominated for a Gem Award. So it's nice for people to understand sort of how the process works. Every summer, we open up the nomination process for the categories that you mentioned. Those are considered our nominee categories. So there's ultimately three nominees in each of those categories that will be selected by the Gem Awards committee. So there's an open nomination period where you yourself can nominate you or your company, or someone can nominate someone else. And everyone is asked the same questions in this nomination form. And then those all get reviewed by the Gem Awards committee that ultimately goes through the excruciating process to narrow it down to three nominees. At that time, all of those nominees are celebrated, and those are the nominees that we're going to be talking about today in two of those categories. And then the committee then goes back in and judges on those 3 nominees, given a separate set of criteria. All of their results are individually sent to a voting house, and the envelopes are sealed. No one, including myself and my team, nor the Gem Awards committee, not a single person in that room knows who the winner is going to be until the envelope is opened. So the authentic energy that you feel is just that. It's 100% authentic, because no one knows who is going to win until the name is announced.
So cool. And let's talk about who's nominated this year. Can we delve into a couple of those categories a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the purpose of today's webinar is to really talk about two of the big categories, which is jewelry design and retail excellence. And we picked these 2 categories. While we love our media excellence category, those nominees, we know that the majority of people who are going to be on this call and on this webinar are from the design and from the retail side of our industry. So we're really going to take a lesson from these nominees and talk about them, and to see if there's anything that we can pull out, these nuggets of information of not only what makes them get nominated, what will ultimately have one of these people win, but also how can this push our industry forward? How can it push your brand forward? And how can it make your business stronger by learning from these people who have clearly exceeded in their field? So kicking it off with our first nominee here. See if I can get my presentation to go. So these are the 3 or ultimately 4, because we do have David Anderson and David Reese from 10,000 Things, Anita Ko from Anita Ko, and Kirsty Stone from Retrouvai. So those are the 3 insanely talented companies and designers who are up for nomination. And David Anderson and David Reese are the first people that we will talk about. And we are really going to break this down into 2 different sections. There's the jewelry itself, the design, and then there's also everything that goes around the ultimate success of that collection, whether it's media coverage, is it celebrities, how have they used their vehicle, the jewelry, to ultimately make their businesses super successful, and how is it making consumers want to buy their jewelry, but also jewelry in general. So starting off with this amazing brand, and Ashley, one of the things that I think is really interesting at Gem Awards, the committee always asks themselves, why now? And that's really, really interesting about these companies. So take a company like 10,000 Things. They just are celebrating 30 years in the business. They've been around forever. Their brand is very unique. It's, completely different, but why now, right? Why a Gem Award right now at this moment? And that's really the question that's asked every single time throughout the nomination process. And the answer for this particular brand is all of the energy and all of the movement. For whatever reason, the universe is aligning, and suddenly everybody's talking about this brand. Everybody is talking about the jewelry. Everybody is talking about them as individuals. And it started with a couple different programs, which we'll talk about in a second, but the jewelry absolutely speaks for itself.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point, Amanda, because I'm sure a lot of jewelry designers are like, I'm very clear in my design identity, like I feel fully formed as a brand. But how do I stand out? And what if I want to nominate myself and I also want, my colleagues to nominate me? What is the right moment to be nominated? I think that's a great thing to keep in mind, that it could be a time where you're having some recognition and your business is really working on all the levels, not just the design level, but your press is going great or your store relationships are going great. I think that's really helpful to understand.
Yeah,
and potential nominees' perspective.
Definitely. And also for your business perspective, right? So when you're talking about how can I open more stores? How can I sell more jewelry? How can I be more successful on social? How can I it really comes back to that, and it's being present, it's being active, and it's being involved. So yes, everybody can have great jewelry. Is there a million different unique perspectives in the jewelry industry? Yes. Is there jewelry that could all sort of look similar, but one could be very successful and one might not be? That yes, also, right?
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately jewelry is kind of hard to make super unique, but they managed to do it. But their businesses really shine because they are involved and they're doing things that outside of just design, as you said, promoting everything else. These earrings in the center are my current obsession in every stone. And I love them. These are the extra large chandeliers that they debuted last year. And these are all hand cut stones. They come out of unique molds in Jaipur. They bring them back into their New York studio and they are able to sort of rework them. And each one is ultimately pretty unique. And I love the different shapes, and obviously the blue lapis is so gorgeous and catching, but the scale of these, they're so huge. And it kind of ties back into one of the trends, if anybody was with us a couple weeks ago when we talked trends, Ashley, we talked about this, the big, huge earring, the cocktail statement piece coming back. And this sort of like ties into that, but I also would love to wear these in the summer with a pair of jeans and a tank.
Definitely a party earring. I hope somebody's wearing them on Friday night because they do look like they truly are massive.
They're massive. I mean, they're striking in every way. So I love them. And obviously all of these other collections, which are super successful for them. The totem earring collection, which they launched this year, the lotus and cactus gold earrings, as well as the different sizes of the chandeliers, which we mentioned. Hand cut, hand molded. That's sort of what the brand is based on, centering around fine carved gemstones. It's really one of the ethos of the brand. Next up for 10,000 Things is their involvement. As we had mentioned, it's not just about the jewelry. So 10,000 Things has had an incredible year. They put together a 30-year retrospective at Pratt Institute, excuse me, where they were able to just take their collections from the past 30 years and take a look back at how the company has evolved, and even the designers, for them to say, it was so fun for us because we had forgotten about pieces that we had that really are still critical in our process today, or how that element has sort of continued on throughout the 30 years of designing. So that's one really big thing that the brand has done this year. Another big thing is they were part of Sotheby's London Brilliant and Black Age of Enlightenment in September and October, which was also a really big event that took place in London. And obviously this piece is incredible that the model is wearing here. I love the scale of that piece. And I think—
Is it lucite?
You know what? I think it is, but I'm not sure. I
know it's like a little hard to tell from the picture. I'm
like, is it rock crystal? Is it lucite? It's hard to tell. And I should know the answer, but I don't. And that's okay. We can find out for you. So that's another, big thing. And when we talk about sort of how the energy all came together for them this year, this is really why. It's like having these big moments, these huge moments, but also having it be really centered around the core of the brand.
I mean, the Pratt retrospective is really quite incredible. And I think it's very fitting because of the nature of their work, that it is about being handmade. That I think that really aligns with Pratt, which is educating makers and designers.
Yes.
And obviously the fact that they're based in New York and Pratt is here in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I think that's a really incredible.
I wish more designers had an opportunity for something like this, because it's not something we do a lot for jewelry, to have like a retrospective that feels like a museum retrospective like that.
Yeah, and it's a great idea of how you can even promote to even do that for your own company? Like, how can you take these
Mm,
and have a moment for your own brand, whether it's at, at a place like Pratt, or is it in your studio or your showroom? Like, how can you
mhm.
position things to show that evolution? And how can it like carry through to the future for your own
Right.
company?
Or even isn't on your website, you take the time at a special anniversary to really go back and share, because that's often like lowest priority, that about page, and really exploring your brand history. But maybe that's a moment on a 10-year anniversary to really experiment with how you're talking to your customer about it.
Yeah, I love that, Ashley. And social media is such a great opportunity for people to storytell as well. I mean, even just take a drawing. Look at this rendering, this drawing that they have up on screen. Like, how incredible is that to have something from the 1950s, or to take a look at how a piece sort of came about from drawing to final piece.
Totally.
Our next nominee is Anita Ko. And Anita, these are Anita's pieces up on screen. What's interesting about Anita is she really has turned LA everyday fashion, high luxury. She saw a complete need for glamorous, beautiful pieces of jewelry that could be worn every day. And she really pulled from her surroundings for that inspiration, which is LA. And you can see the complete difference between her and 10,000 Things because of their influence of where they live and the environment that they're surrounded by. So the idea for Anita is to take these gorgeous diamond and gemstone pieces and really just make them day elegant to red carpet glam. Like, she can completely do both ends of that spectrum. And everything is really, aspirational yet accessible, which I love for today's women and men and how we wear, fine jewelry today. It's not something that you put in a vault. It's something that you do get out and wear, and you're not afraid to really wear it on an everyday basis. The collections, I love the choker necklaces, which I felt like was very much of the moment for 2022 and into 2023, just having something up high that you can then layer and wear with other things. I love the use of the different gemstones. Everything has movement. So, a huge moment for Anita Ko. It's another perfect example of suddenly everywhere you went, someone was mentioning her name and someone was mentioning the brand. So it's kind of like all of a sudden it was this giant culmination for Anita, and that's what led to this nomination.
It's such a feat to be able to be kind of synonymous with the diamond, and now she's more into colored gemstones too, but to be synonymous with that daily fine jewelry uniform. I mean, it's really a testament to her business prowess, her relationships with stores, that she's one of the first names that you think of when it's like a classic, but that feels really modern and today. So I do think that her business is really incredible, and one to always keep an eye on what she's doing.
Yeah, no, it's such a great point. And when you talk to retailers and you talk to them about brands, it's always Anita that comes up when you do talk about, collections that do really well and the people behind them. And to your point, it's that business mindset of her, understanding and valuing those relationships as well as the jewelry itself. So if you know Anita, then you know that there are no shortage of celebrities that wear her product. Obviously, being in LA, it makes it nice and easy. Well, there is no such thing as easy for placements, but it's a natural fit for her brand to get on these celebrities. And what I love about these pictures, Ashley, is that these aren't red carpet pictures necessarily. Yes, they are, but they're not like the huge pieces that are really identifiable. These are the everyday pieces of jewelry that these celebs wear. They're wearing small dainty pieces. They're layering them together. They've got a small earring on. They might have one of her rings on. but they really are wearing them on a personal level, but also, they're not show stopping, but they really complete the look.
Absolutely. Because it's really jewelry that works with clothes.
Right.
Ultimately, it's that go with everything. Which from a design perspective, I can't imagine being able to own that.
Right. I know. Absolutely. And then with editorial, obviously editorial placements, winning other awards such as the Town and Country Jewelry Awards, which you see here covered in Town and Country. So it's just the constant exposure, layering on the awareness that's really driving consumer attention. Our last nominee in this category is Kirsty Stone from Retrouvai. And I love Kirsty's unique collection. I feel like she has such an amazing voice. And we talked about Retrouvai a lot in our trend presentation together as well. You can't look at a piece of hers and know that it's not. You would never guess that it was somebody else because it's 100% her. And I love that about the brand. I love the really interesting use of color. And again, it's a fun, playful collection that is not trying to be too serious. It's not taking itself too seriously, but it's really who women are today.
I think it really epitomizes the joyful jewelry mood that we have right now and that people are gravitating toward, whether that be like a really tongue-in-cheek design like her When Pigs Fly earring, whether it's something like silly and kind of irreverent like that, or it's just these big gems and wonderful color combinations that are just so uplifting and happy. She really owns that kind of section of jewelry today.
I completely agree. And in her bio, she calls it embodying a whimsical eccentricity and heirloom quality. It's made entirely in downtown LA and it's run by a family-run team of master jewelers. So I feel like all of that really plays into this collection too, because it's, it's that hand touch element. It's all made in LA. It's a family-run business with the master jewelers. There are absolutely no shortcuts here. Every attention to detail is nailed. From the dice, I love the dice with the things on them, which are so fun. So that whimsy is something that we also desperately need in this serious world that we're in.
Yes.
And I feel like she's this amazing balance to these other two nominees too, that there shows how, 3 collections and 3 brands and 3 designers can be so completely different from one another.
Absolutely. And also relevant.
Yes. This cuff here was at Couture and there was not a single person that was not talking about it. This is the lollipop cuff. And I feel like, talk about making a statement piece and knowing how to sort of build a collection around it, but use something like this to really drive awareness for a brand. If there's a takeaway, it's like, don't be afraid to make something big and bold, even if it's just one piece, to make sure that, everybody's talking about you.
Right. Because this is her lollipop motif.
Yeah.
And, a lot of lollipop rings and lollipop necklaces have come before this. And I think that really, it's like actually just a good metaphor for her brand overall, because she really has come into her own in a relatively short time.
Yeah.
And I think it's just finding what works and then having the confidence to make something huge that's sort of the hero piece of that entire collection, I think is just so fun for everyone who's a fan of her.
Agreed. Absolutely. Yeah. Launching the collection in 2016. It's like incredible how much she's sort of come into her own and how quickly. These are some additional pieces and some different campaigns that Retrouvai has put out this year. They did win the best in platinum, which I also love because she went from this like super fun and just to make this incredible necklace in platinum, to have this statement piece is also really great. And then these two beautiful campaigns and all of the different ways that she promotes on social and across the board also sort of tie in as well. And I need one of these rings in my life.
Oh my God, me too.
I'm
They're
sure.
so great.
Oh
I
my
love
gosh,
to
incredible.
buy her gems, whether it's one gem or she's combining them. I mean, she just always makes it work, always makes it feel so elegant.
Definitely. So that takes us into the retail excellence nominees, and we'll explore these three super talented retailers. This category is really important for JA, obviously, with Jewelers of America being a largely trade association that represents retailers, primarily retailers. It's really important for us to have this retail excellence category of retailers who are pushing the boundaries of retail, whether it's brick and mortar, e-commerce, or completely different ways of doing retail. That's really important to Gem Awards, that all of those different ways that retail is embodied are covered within this category. So while it would be easy to separate it and just have, all right, these are traditional mom and pop jewelers go up against one another, it's not how consumers make their choices. So why should we separate it for Gem Awards either? So we know that consumers shop in a lot of different ways. And all of those are very important to the retail landscape as we fight for consumer dollars to make sure that, you know, retail is all encompassing. So we have Greenwich St Jewelers, Sotheby's, and Zadok Jewelers this year, three really great retailers, all of which very unique in their own way. Starting out with Greenwich St Jewelers, I don't think you could go very long without hearing their name come up in the past 12 months. They've certainly had an incredible year, whether it's a new store opening, and I put up some pictures here up on screen to sort of as we talk about what these retailers have managed to do in a short period of time. So Greenwich St Jewelers is a second generation jewelry store. And Jennifer Gandia and Christina Gandia Gambale both have this retail store together, and they are forces, these two women. What they have taken their parents' jewelry business and have transformed it into the ultimate shopping destination in a new store in Tribeca. And they have really just been all about creating these moments, celebrating New York, making sure that their business is super all-encompassing and truly the ultimate destination. So they have had multiple different jewelry campaigns. The two on the bottom here, Ashley, are two different campaigns that they have shot, and they are constantly sourcing gemstones. They're hugely important to them is traceability and making sure that all of the gemstones that they source, you know, are eco-friendly, and they're really into that part of their business, which is incredible.
There's so much. So sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, good.
There's so much to learn from them because it's almost hard to believe that they are in every way a traditional jewelry store just because they are so forward thinking. But everything that has mattered to a traditional jewelry store and that mattered to their parents when their parents began the store still matters to them. They still have a bench jeweler there. You can still bring them, you know, as a customer, your repairs and, you know, get your custom bridal element. They just have added so many other elements to their business to really just grow as consumer behavior grows and changes.
Right. Yeah, they're full champions for the designers and the brands that they sell. They are deeply committed to the success of those jewelers, but at the same time, as you mentioned, they have these incredible in-house designers, and they have this in-house team that can still do custom work or create their own pieces for their in-house collections, which I think is a really interesting balance. And as I mentioned, the diversity, equity, and inclusion being really important to them. They ran all sorts of events during New York City Fashion Week, and they did a partnership with Muzo Emeralds. So they are just always on the forefront, as you mentioned, Ashley. You know, it's been incredible to watch and to constantly learn from what they've done this year. Sotheby's is our next nominee, and obviously not a traditional retailer. As an auction house, they have been in the retail space through auction, but I think in the past several years, they've really come out of what is considered just being an auction house and are really entering into the retail space, coming up with new inventive ways to reach today's consumers. They have had multiple exhibitions, and I'm just going to look at my notes here so I can get the name of the exhibitions correct, because they've had so many. This year, they had diverse selling exhibitions across the jewelry world, one of which was Brilliant in Black, and that was curated by Melanie Grant, another GEM Award winner, who was then in the media space. And that was the Age of Enlightenment at Sotheby's in London in September, which was wildly successful. They've also had standout shows throughout the year that have really shown how to take an exhibition and make it an event and make it easy for people around the globe to truly celebrate and be able to purchase this jewelry. And I know, Ashley, you're follow a lot of what Sotheby's does and attend stuff for Sotheby's as well.
Yes. I'm a huge Sotheby's fan. I think just because their attitude, I mean, it really is applicable to other nominees in this category and to all the great retailers, that they have to evolve to really stay relevant. They know that they can't just continue to reinvent the same traditional auction model, even though a lot of auctions perform amazingly and they're still important and the backbone of this business. They want to be a part of the cultural conversation in art and jewelry and in all of their categories. And to host exhibitions like the two Brilliant and Black sales that they've done is a huge example of that. And they're not auctions, they're just sales, but the curation is incredible and the topic is so timely, and these sales are just so well executed. So it's very exciting to see what they do with contemporary designers, and I think that this is definitely a great moment for them to be nominated for their GEM Award.
Absolutely. Zadok Jewelers is our final retail excellence nominee, and Zadok is a family-run business, sixth generation, wow, which is incredible. And they are out of Houston. And when you talk about what a family-run business looks like, it could be, really traditional, but yet Zadok continues to really go big or go home in typical Houston way. So they have constantly been reinventing themselves from the physical landscape of their storefront to how they are reaching out to their customers. They have, launched a new Instagram where they're dedicated to just their timepieces. That's wildly successful for them. That really helps them move some of their high-end timepieces. They're really focused on, putting back and giving back to their local communities, like this picture here where they're, putting trees in, which is part of their bridal campaign that they're doing for the modern bride. Their storefront is incredible. They redid their store. It's a massive, beautiful space that has all of these intimate areas like you see in this picture in the middle. So it's really all about, pushing forward with new accessible ways for people to shop. So their e-commerce and their social media, shopping has, taken leaps and bounds over the past, year and a half. So they're continuing to reach out and take their traditional business and push it forward to today. And really, I think that this is one of those like really important businesses for so many retailers to look at and to figure out how you can take nuggets of this information and be able to apply it to your business.
Having an Instagram just for the timepieces is so brilliant, because that is such a devoted niche community. And it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I mean, speaking watches is a completely different language. And so the love affair that people have with timepieces is so exclusive to the love affair that they have with jewelry. So it's not like it's,
yeah,
I think you're right. I think having that separate dedicated page is so brilliant.
Of all the family businesses that we write about at National Jeweler, who we interview, I don't think I've heard of anyone who is 6th generation.
Yeah,
that is so impressive.
Yeah, as I'm looking back, through their company bio, it's, throughout the generations of the business itself was founded in 1976. So the family must have just had years and years of, generations of
jewelry
businesses.
making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pretty neat. So that actually concludes our time with these nominees. Are there any questions that have come in, Ashley?
Let me see. I don't believe we have any. Questions.
Okay, perfect.
I have a question for you. How do people check out the nomination process? When are nominations?
Yes, so nominations will be starting. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen so I can see you better. Nominations will be opening up in June of next year, or this year. This is the problem with doing things so far in advance, Ashley.
It comes quickly.
And this is only our second year with Gem Awards in March. It used to be in January, so the timing is a little off. But we will be opening up the nominations in June, and anybody who's interested in staying aware of that, I definitely encourage people to follow Gem Awards on Instagram and on Facebook so that way you can stay up to date. You can also email events@jewelers.org to be added to the mailing list. That will allow you to be able to see when the nominations open, get that real-time information, and also keep you updated on when ticket sales come available. But the nomination part is super clear once you go to the website, because we do break down exactly what we're looking for, and we're able to make it nice and simple for people to nominate themselves.
I've nominated people in the past, and I always found it really easy, and it's really nice to know that it truly is an open forum for anyone to nominate their business or, a colleague's business.
Yeah, and I definitely encourage everybody to go check out the nomination, all of the nominees, and read all of their incredible bios, including our media excellence. And also we have our watch excellence honoree, as well as high jewelry excellence for the very first time. So to learn about Gucci, to learn about Hodinkee, and then we'll also be honoring Stephen Kaiser with the posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award.
Amazing. And Amanda, so Gem Awards switched its timing from January to March last year for the first time, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
And that was pandemic related, as you know, we're used to with all of our events in those years.
Yeah.
Is it always going to be held in March or for the foreseeable future?
For the foreseeable future, it looks like we're going to be staying in March. Obviously, we work closely with the other events that take place around Gem Awards, which is 24 karat. There's also a JVC luncheon and a JVT luncheon that take place that same weekend. So our goal is to try to make it nice and simple for the industry to sort of come together for big celebrations in New York. That's something that has been happening for the past 21 years since Gem Awards started. So we will be having the March timeframe for the foreseeable future. At least that is the plan for now.
Okay, great.
So that concludes this formal presentation. I did want to just remind everybody that we have an upcoming webinar, and that will be up on the screen shortly with a reminder of that date and time. And always stay tuned to Two National Jewelers website as well as Jewelers of America's website to learn more about our webinar series. But the next webinar will be taking a look at how well the jewelry industry is doing in the areas of diversity. So we encourage everybody to attend. But thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that you were able to learn something. Thank you, Ashley, for your time during this busy time of year. And we hope to see everybody. Hopefully everybody's able to snag a ticket before we sold out to Gem Awards on Friday.
Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you for all the work that you put into the Gem Awards each year.
Thank you so much. And we will see you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.